Welcome to Textural Anthologies, the podcast series that explores the personal and professional side of creative individuals. My name is Massimo Casagrande, and in this first series, I will be focusing on the slash culture. Today's creative boundaries are blurred more than ever, and with this series, we will explore how the creative industry and creative people are influenced and inspired by other disciplines. Over the next few episodes, I will be having informal conversations with friends, colleagues and fellow slashers to discover more about their stories, their journey, what makes them tick, and above all, their creative outlets. Enjoy the episode. How do you introduce someone who needs no introduction? And finding one word to describe today's guest is impossible. Iconic, legendary, and visionary are a few that come to mind. So I'm here in Miami on Collins Avenue at the studio of Barbara Hulanicki, founder of the iconic label Biba. I met Barbara 3 years ago upon my arrival in Miami, and she's become a great friend, my saving grace, and above all, a go-to person for a good old-fashioned gossip session. Her energy and laughter are contagious, and she's definitely not shy to voice her opinion. So it was really nice to sit down with Barbara for an informal chat and hear her story, the start of Biba, her love for illustration, and also to find out what she thinks of fashion today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hi Barbara, how are you?
Hello, hi, nice to see you.
We were actually on Collins Avenue
in
Miami.
Are. Yeah.
So Barbara, I always start by asking my guests the same question. Like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, at what stage?
Good question. At what
yes,
stage?
Exactly.
Oh,
when I was 2.
No, but have you always wanted to be a designer or in fashion?
No, I tell you what, I
arts?
wanted to be so badly because I was brought up in Palestine, and it was, it was a magical place to be brought up in because of all the holy places, and we were christened in Bethlehem and the spot, and oh yeah, it was magical. And what happened was that after the war, all the refugees, Polish refugees that were in Gulag camps, were let through Tehran, and they ended up in Jerusalem, which was really interesting because it was a lot of children. There were no parents, and it was an incredible sort of bringing up because there were Polish. My father was organizing Polish schools, and so there were Polish schools and Polish events and huge Polish community, and I always felt so guilty because we were the well-off ones, but the children were fantastic. They were such fun, and it didn't worry them at all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
After church, there was big Polish things going on after.
Church is sort of like a fashion parade, isn't
yes,
it?
absolutely.
You had to dress up. I remember as a kid as well, you always had to dress up for church.
Yeah, but my father was very, very into photography, and it was all about photographs and films. And they had all the American early films there, and all the Technicolor films, and I just wanted to be a fashion designer for films.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
costume designer, I guess, in those days.
Yes, I guess, yeah, because they were all wearing this wonderful clothes, and they were floating around, dancing. And if you saw pictures of them in the kitchens in America, they had wonderful equipment where they were making bubbly something, and oh my goodness me, I wanted to be in film. My father was killed, and we were sent off to England with the families of the troops. So it was all rather nasty part. And anyway, when we got to England, my mother was in a terrible state because my father had been shot, and she was met by this old elder aunt. I mean, her sister, with this magic age, which we could never quite work out what the age was, but fantastic, wearing wonderful clothes and blah, 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 especially in England, where it was after the war, so there was still rationing for clothes and rationing for food. We couldn't believe it. It was like one egg a week.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
And she had these amazing clothes.
Yeah, and 4 ounces of cheese. Have you ever seen 4 ounces of cheese for a week? No. But in any way, Auntie was fantastic. And she gave us absolute hell, because we arrived and we're Polish. I always thought I spoke English really, but when I got to England, you know, it was nobody knew what you were talking about, or I didn't know what they were talking about, and it was absolute hell. So I told her what I wanted to be. So she said, I have a friend who's a Polish princess, and she opened the Hollywood Museum of costume. This is a museum, yes, and you have to meet her, see, you know, whether... I'm like 13, hello. And we have tea at the Ritz. We were in London still. And the princess looked at me. She said, my dear, you have no hope.
Really?
You have absolutely no hope. You have to be, it's all nepotism, and you're the wrong religion. So I thought, oh, goodness me. That was the end of that career. That fell apart. Yeah. Which was really, I was so upset. Oh my gosh, my dreams of Technicolor films, and because they used to have these incredible studios where you worked inside and made all the costumes and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, so anything to get away from my art, I go to art school for 2 years, and I just couldn't face any more, because you have to do a general course first, and they would say things like, the teachers there, this was at Brighton, they would say, oh, you're one of those, meaning fashion. You're in that back building.
Wow.
And you'd have to sit there and you had to draw these terrible nudes of these homeless people in the nude. It was so disgusting, I couldn't take it.
Wow.
And so I got a job in a studio that did illustration, fashion illustration, which at the time was... Photography hadn't taken on. There was a lot of photography, the snap photography, but not really for fashion. So there was an incredible lot of work. But when I got to the studio, they gave me the job, and I found, yes, you are making tea now. Or coffee.
Some things never change.
It was so funny. And so, but I worked my way up to doing illustrations for advertising of corsets. Because they used to have corsets, you know, they're really fashionable now, isn't it? And then eventually I started...
But then when you were doing the illustration, the corsets, but you were then doing illustrations for sort of WWD, you went to Vogue, you went to Tatler.
Slowly but surely, I started getting the other work, which, you know, you had to work your way up. Yeah. You didn't just walk into this. It was like a mafia. And then, and then I started working for Tatler magazine, where there was an amazing art director there. And you were very involved with the photography that they did, so I was really interested in that part as well. And then I started going... with a newspaper to Paris, to the shows. In fact, you never went with them, but they sent you over, and you'd have to see the show, and then they would give you the numbers that they wanted you to sketch. So you had to wait until the end, and then next day you would have these mannequins would come out really bad-tempered, because I was like 18, looking really scruffy.
Was this in the showroom? Like, would you go to the showroom?
Yeah.
And then they would pose with the looks, and you would sketch them?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But not when there was anybody. You had to go in when it was quiet. But you see, what they did in the Paris fashions then, that nobody seems to understand, is that the shows were for American buyers who bought a ticket, something like $2,000, and with that ticket, and they were usually department store owners or production people who would, with the 2,000 or whatever it was, they would get one pattern. They could pick a pattern. So they were very important, so always front row.
Could they pick which pattern they wanted?
Oh yeah, I think so.
wow.
Oh no, it was major. It was huge business, because I'm talking about huge money they paid for these shows. So in any way, so you were lucky to see these shows. I mean, but it was always for ladies who lunch. You know, it was, you had to be fashionable. You had to be 30. To me, that was the end of the world. Or 40, and then that was your fashion age. And then you went in for all your fittings and blah, blah, blah. I was going around all the, you know, I'm being very like Dior, which was so boring, because there were like 100 black dresses, 2 buttons, 1 button. And it would be like, you know, for somebody who was 18, I want to get moving. And then I did all the shows, and then life was just terrible, because you had no clothes to wear. You know, you'd get your mother to make you something, and you'd have that only one outfit, and you're starting to earn money, and there's nowhere to shop. And then my aunt's going on how awful the clothes are, and how I look so disgusting, because I was wearing an acid green blouse. I think that's what killed it. And there's like no direction or anything. And then one day everything changes. There's Audrey Hepburn, and she like made our lives, the young people. Sabrina Fair. Couldn't believe it. There's a young person, and she's looking fabulous, and she's wearing black all the time. And you can't buy black, because that's only for funerals, you see. And that person was she was amazing, absolutely amazing. And then I was working for somebody at Givenchy, and she came in, and I was stuck in the elevator with her.
Wow.
And she was so sweet, and it was lovely. I was like, oh, I can't believe this. And I looked at her feet, and she had bigger feet than me. I was so thrilled. I couldn't believe it. I was human, after all. And then there was another show that she came in with Mel Ferrer, who she was married to. And they were giants. They were so beautiful, the two of them. It was incredible how that woman changed the whole spirit for young people in clothes. It was incredible, incredible. Everything she wore, and
even like Roman Holiday, you know, just the capri trousers. And,
oh yes,
you know,
and the little scarf.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Those
I was
details.
looking for a little scarf.
And people still try to sort of copy that style now.
And she comes back all the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that scarf.
I mean, speaking of Meghan Markle, her
Yes.
the wedding dress from Givenchy was very
Absolutely, wasn't it? Absolutely, that. Oh God, it was incredible. And no, that was absolutely incredible. But I just learned so much of the horror of it all, of this fashion world, because although it was wonderful to see it all, but it was nothing to do with young people. It was nothing, and it was the same thing was happening in England, where there was all this generation. I was old. We were Fitz when I met Fitz. We were exactly the same age. We were 24, and we were considered old.
Wow.
So the young ones were really young, and they were earning money. They were earning money as secretaries. Well, the girls were, and. You know, there was cash, and nowhere to spend. And so we start doing, because of my not knowing all the fashion editors like Jill Butterfield and Anne Ryan, and that was Women's Wear Daily, and Tatler, Jill Dixon, most of them, you know, most of the younger ones, and anyway. And there's one particular one called Felicity Green. She was on the Mirror. She was young, and she started doing all these articles about young people. And she calls me in, because I was working for her on the illustrations for Paris and various things, and she said, I want you to design a dress for me. I said, oh yes, lovely. And she said, I want it for 25 shillings. I said, oh yes, lovely. And anyway, we were already doing a bit of mail order because Fitz was in advertising, and he said the future is mail order, which is really exactly like online. And we were doing quite a few things, and we would get like 200, but we weren't making any money. We had to pack everything ourselves, and we're just
So did you already have the product, or
yes,
people would sort of write in and then you would make the product?
No, I would do a drawing and do a sample, which was very, very easy to do a drawing. And then somebody like Jill Butterfield or one of the, she would put it in the paper.
Oh, okay.
My drawing.
So you would send
and you can buy this dress for £1.19. Hello, and it was like, so it was really hard work. And we had an office in the basement, but we used to have to pack the stuff ourselves. I mean, it was a nightmare. And so we're about to give up. And then Felicity calls me and said, yeah, I want this dress for 25 shillings. Oh, okay. Yes, of course. Gingham, yes. Bridget Barder is wearing gingham in Saint-Tropez all the time. So, okay, oh yes, wonderful, gingham, pink gingham. Yes, this is a conversation. So when I get home, I said, but you know what I've done. By then, we are receiving thousands.
And this is the infamous Barbara dress.
Yes. I managed to get the girls at the Royal College to make me a sample. And we used to have to go down to the post office. We had a postal address in Oxford Street where our post used to go. And we go to collect our mail. I used to sit in the car in the square behind Oxford Street, and Fitz would go and get the post. Well, this time, he's taking a long time. I said, what was he doing? He comes round the corner with a sack. And he said, there's another sack, and it's all full of postal orders.
Wow.
And it was like, you're high, and every day there was another sack, and another sack, and another sack. And they're all building up in our kitchen, and so every saucepan is some, you're putting all your money orders and all that sort of thing. Then Fitz says, come on, we've got to put this money into a bank.
So they would send like the envelope with the order in cash?
It was postal order. It was sort of like you had to go and change it.
Yeah,
you had to go to a bank, and you had to do a lot of paperwork. And we go, come on, we're going to the bank. Okay, and so we go to Barclays Bank with our first sack. They said, yeah, of course, we'd love to take it. So they took it. Did all the paperwork for us. And then there was the hell of finding gingham, which was an absolute nightmare. But
you had the people to sew and make the stuff, or was it just you?
Yes, we met this wonderful Greek guy, Mr. Sava. Eventually we managed to, he's waiting for the gingham to arrive, and it gets around all the sort of salesmen that this cuckoo couple has got thousands of dollars, sitting there, and they want thousands of yards of gingham. So he comes, and this wonderful man arrives, and he looks like Mr. McCorvers with wearing spats and from Manchester, and we hand him the money. He said, oh, well, I've got all the pink gingham you want. And we hand him all this cash. And he sends in swatches, and I passed out because they were like gingham, like for tablecloth, bright red, huge. And thank God. And he sent actually about 200-300 yards, and we thought, God, we better get our money back. And we did get our money back. This was amazing with this company who then worked for us forever, Burgess Ledward in Manchester. After we produce I think it was 9,000 dresses,
wow,
one size, with Mr. Sava, and Fitz has to go Greek dancing with him to the factory every Friday in order to get his production and throw plates at them. It's just incredible. I mean, I hope they get it right in the film, because they're writing this film, to Biba, you know.
That's from your book, isn't it?
Yes, from the book.
When's the
They've
film?
only just started the script now because of the...
So who's playing you, do you know?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
If you could choose someone to play you, who would you choose?
Marlene Dietrich. And then we started our business. Then we take this beautiful little old shop. Is that 500 square feet?
The one on 7 floors?
No, the first one was
okay.
600 square feet, tiny. And we used that as a stock room. And then, I said, come on, let's open a shop. Because we get involved with Ready, Steady, Go. They get on to me, and I go and meet Kathy McGowan, which was a really big show for music show. And get involved with them and start making the odd dress for her to be on the thing. And I mean, we're just inundated in this place. It's just like packed. It's miles away down High Street, Kensington. And all these kids are coming down. I mean, major, packed, dying to buy this stuff.
Wow.
And then we took the shop, the first shop, which was packed all the time. Because there was nothing happening. Carnaby Street wasn't going yet, you know. And there was Mary Quant was way before us, but she was really upmarket and very expensive. And she was in King's Road. And
you had the Barbara dress, and then did you start
yes,
creating different styles?
Yes, we got really brave and got pattern colours and all.
Did you? And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, you were saying that at the time there was just sort of one size. There wasn't.
Yes, it was amazing. Everybody was tiny.
But did you start doing different sizes?
Much later in the big store, and we got this. We thought this woman is going to be so great. It's incredible. She'd been working with Mary Quant for many years. Maybe she'll teach us something. And she said, you've got to do size 12. You've got to do this and that. So we manufacture all the size 12s and don't sell.
Wow.
So I put them in this is the big store, on the first floor by the staircase, so that the doors are opening, and almost leave the doors open. Nobody even wants to steal looking things because they're too big. Everybody is tiny. Size 10, I mean English 10, which was hardly. It was incredible. And then I always remember in the second shop, we're just coming over from the office, and I look at the zebra crossing, and there's these girls with hips and thighs, and it was just at the time when the pill came out.
I was going to say, because I remember you saying once that sort of body shapes changed after the pill came.
Absolute. What am I going to do? We're going to go
So you went
bust.
back to the stockroom and...
We're going to go bust now. The future is these hips. Oh my God. So the silhouette had to change a bit, because before it was like 2 straight lines and 2 dots.
Wow.
Yeah, which was incredible. It was fabulous. And queues for girls coming in. And what was interesting, you would phone one secretary up, because I was sort of knew all the ones in the newspapers, and tell them there's so-and-so coming in on Saturday or whatever, and the word would get around. It was like email now. It was incredible.
A human email.
Absolute. It was incredible. And they'd be coming and they'll be waiting in our second shop for sort of some blouse, which they've been told is coming in. And the delivery would come from Mr. Sava, and he decided to make a woolly dress or something, and how are we going to get out? They're going to kill us outside. You know, in the shop they're sitting waiting there like this. It's not nice. No. Oh my God, it was, I can't tell you. And plus doing all the sort of music people were coming in droves as well, but you know, they were growing as well. They were getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more famous and more famous. And it was incredible. So every 2 years we had to just move for a bigger shop because we were just, you know,
every 2 years. Wow.
Yeah. Fitz was marvelous at finding these premises, and he'd come and see. I've just found a really beautiful Victorian, and come and have a look at it. I've just seen the owner, and he said, yes, my head, he was a chronologist, and he said, yes, my head is all right, but he has to see your head first. So I have to chug up there quickly. I mean, can you imagine? And he measures my, yes. And you get a lease because your head is all right.
Thank God your head is fine.
It's going to be like that now, I'm sure. Oh my God. So every 2 years we move. And then one day I hear that the big department store, the Deco one, they're going to demolish it inside and everything. We couldn't. So we rush up there to have a look. And there's this roof garden. It's beautiful. I mean, it's magic. I said, Fitz, we can't let this go. We can't. He said, okay, you want it? We get it. He rang up. We had some partners then who were Dorothy Perkins, who were retailers, and they immediately, we were taking so much money in our third shop. He said, yeah. Fitz says, I've got to have $250,000 to give to Hugh Fraser by tomorrow. And he said, yes, you can have it.
Wow.
I mean, it's just amazing. And so
easy.
So we got it. And
that became the iconic Biba store reference point that everyone.
It was like a year, 16 months it was done.
Wow.
6 floors. 6 floors, the fronts of the...
I wasn't there at the time, but reading about it and hearing you speak about it as well, it was very ahead of its time, I think, the store. Also what you were offering inside the shop.
Yeah. What my dream was, because of my aunt, who was a nightmare, but suddenly Auntie became very important. Not that I saw her, but suddenly Derry and what they used to be, High Street Kensington was a sort of upmarket carriage trade where they used to go, ladies would go up there all day and spend all day in a department store. They'd have their hair done, they eat and they shop and blah, blah, blah. And this is it, Auntie, you're right. And this is what we're going to do there. I mean, and we worked on everything, even we're working on a cinema, but it was, we had problems. There weren't enough films to show in a cinema. You need to change them often. In those days, they would have been not big films, but art films and so on, you know. So we had to drop that. But I mean, we even had, right at the end, we had Vitold. By then, Vitold is like 3, 4. He's into Marvel Comics. So we ring up, what's his name, who does Marvel Comics. And he says, yeah, we would love to meet you. Could you come down because we'd like to open a shop for you and do products. He came down, Stan. Oh yeah, lovely. Yes, we'll do it. I mean, it was amazing in those days. Now you'd have to have 20 lawyers and this
so
and that
different.
and the other.
But I think, the store was nice because it was offering something that we use nowadays, the word experience, so like...
Yes, to do things.
To do things, and you're in one place and you get... Because remember, you sort of... There was the cellar at the bottom and you worked up on different floors, and then you had the Rainbow Room on top, which was the restaurant, I think.
There was a second restaurant.
The second restaurant.
Where...
which then in its own right became quite iconic. Yeah. Because lots of people filmed music videos in there.
Yes. And Princess Margaret's husband sued us because his trousers got snagged on the on the big peacock chairs. I thought, well, now we've arrived, haven't we?
If Lord Snowden sees
Lord
you,
Snowden, broken trousers. I don't know, I can't remember how that finished. And anyway, our partners love them. They loved their shops and they never interfered, and they used to come in and say, how much money do you take? It was really fantastic. And then they have a man who's dealing with all the, because they had thousands of shops, underwear shops, and we had and then we do cosmetics, and we sold them there, and they have a developer partner, the person who's in charge of buying the properties, and he takes them over. And of course, what we did the store, we did it so cheaply, and anyway, suddenly this property is worth fortune, and he's already sold half of it to Marks and Spencer's. It was awful.
Marks and Spencer's?
Yeah, all the ground floors. And it was very painful, terrible. What was wonderful is that we went to all the fairs in Italy and got all the products made here, there, Spain, the shoes. I mean, we used to use a shoe factory that always delivered shoes with red soles. Hello?
No way.
Yes, I promise you.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was in Alicante, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Again, going back to sort of the Biba days, you had people like Twiggy, there was Bowie, Brian Ferry.
Oh, yeah.
There was a particular scene.
Yeah. But what my thing was, is I had a husband who hated going shopping. Right, I'm going to make this place, put sofas in there, but very noisy music. I mean, the music was high and very dark. And of course, the boyfriends came in, and the boys came in to look at the girls.
Of course.
And to meet the girls. So it was a big social scene.
It became a hangout place.
Yeah, it completely, yeah.
Do you think, I don't know if you feel the same thing, but I feel that like nowadays, there isn't a scene or a tribe, if you want to call it that, amongst young people.
Yeah.
Like we were talking earlier about East London, Lee Bowery and all of that. There was a particular scene in the 80s, and in the 70s there was a different scene. Each generation seems to have a scene or a clique. But like now, I don't know, like the young people,
online.
They're all online, they're all with their phones.
The cliques online.
And I was talking to another friend how nothing is underground anymore.
Yeah.
Because, so there isn't this. And I think it's quite sad. It's kind of nice to be part of a scene or part of a movement, a cultural movement,
Yes, absolutely.
And nowadays you don't have, I don't know, is it a digital movement?
No, because also those movements then were very creative.
Yes.
Because of the art schools, because we had fabulous art schools too.
And people were really pushing boundaries.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Like really, even like the New Romantics or
Yes.
Like there's a...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so nice. And I know there's this one video of Susie Quattro in the Rainbow Room where she's using the Biba mannequins, I think.
She was... I come in one morning, I don't know what happened, our PR slipped up, and our ground floor is all mirrors, and there's Susie Quattro dancing on top of a mirror unit, huge, as big as this room. I was having a fit, because if that starts cracking, we're in trouble. And it was our best-selling unit, with tights on it or something. Oh my God. And then we had the special, on the side of the Rainbow Room, there was this big concert place where they used to have concerts. And
nice.
And then on Fridays, there was this group of boys that, one particular one, who I'm still in touch with, he used to bring in all the new bands before they sort of broke.
Okay.
And they used to do Friday nights. And then we were the first to do food, health food, which was huge, because there used to be...
what was considered health food back in those days?
No, it was real health food.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Because I got this, I thought, okay, we have a canteen for the staff and we'll put the health food in there. we want baked beans and sausages, and we don't want garden stuff, the garden. It's so funny. Or you can have your baked beans, whatever. we had that scene of the opening in the Rainbow Room, sort of to the public. It was the old layout, but on the sides we had bars, and one was a booze bar, one huge one was help yourself, health food, and then there was a Knickerbocker Glory thing with ice creams and It was exhausted because you could never be away from it, you know.
But also you started doing...
Because we got bored.
Yeah.
We were interested. What we did is we didn't have a whole load of people to have to ask. If I wanted to do boots, we'd do boots. If I wanted to do
that was nice of the freedom of those days.
Yeah.
Like now everything is sort of so
you'd have a meeting with 100
structured in fashion. You don't have that spontaneity.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like you're saying nowadays you would need like 20 lawyers to do something.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, we're literally, and that's why I've got all this incredible photography from all these big photographers, because having been working with, you know, in the sort of world of fashion magazines, I had all these heroes like Helmut Newton and this and Sarah Moon and everybody, and I wanted to. What was happening was that there was a lot of photography being done by snappers for newspapers, and they would put this thing on themselves, and they couldn't care less as long as there was a leg showing. So I wanted to do these catalogues that would show how they would wear these things, how they would wear our clothes.
Okay.
And then, I haven't got the makeup, so we go down, find a factory, and we're going to make cosmetics. We need shoes. Whatever we needed, we just grew it, and it all worked. And
it became a lifestyle.
Yes,
like
and you had a look, which they...
which again, it's now they do that. All the big brands, they have the makeup so you can be Gucci head to toe and smell Gucci, or you know.
We did even, I never forget this, we had real embarrassing things, like I was pregnant and we were doing our perfume in this incredible, we found this bottle which was incredible, decanter for...
Is it cognac?
Coutures, yes, or something, I mean that sort of thing. And all the way to Guildford to the factory, and I had to smell all these things. I mean, I'm pregnant and I'm going to be sick. It's terrible. This scent comes in eventually, and it's disgusting. It's like an old cat's pee. It sells out like mad.
No way.
And I promise you, Licorice and I had somebody 2 years ago calling us to where they could buy this cat bung, especially as it turned, you know, it turned on you. Oh dear. And I mean, this amazing sort of situations, like when we go down to this huge factory that does Revlon, who don't only produce coral lipstick, but they're good quality and stuff. And because we want to start a brand, we go, and I've got a table, like 20 guys sitting around it, and I think, you know, what's all this? And I say, I want a chocolate coloured lipstick because of photographs, you know, sepia photographs. No. It's ridiculous. I said, we are buying, excuse me, we weren't asking them to make it. Excuse me, we're going to buy. We got the packaging and everything. So that they sent the color. I think it was chocolate. They sent it to the girls in the lab, and the lab. And they say, come in. Will you come in and talk to us, and they come, we love it, we love the lipstick, it's fantastic. They're all young girls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. So we got our lipstick, and it sold out in 1 hour. But it wasn't tasting chocolate.
Wow, 1 hour sold out.
Yes, I mean, piles of it. So because we built a cosmetic counter, and then we had no cosmetics, except that smelly perfume. It sold out. I mean, it's a fun. Oh God.
But then you also started doing collaborations, like even post Biba as well, which again, you know, like nowadays it's so, all brands are collaborating. Well, Kim joins with Nike, or before with Supreme, but you started sort of collaborating with Fiorucci, Cacharel with the knitwear.
Yeah.
So again, you know, you were so ahead of the game. You managed to sort of,
because one was interested in things that they did that we couldn't manufacture. Like when Fiorucci came to, never forget, Nally
jeans
came in on one Saturday. It was packed, and it's the first time I went and saw. There's a Italian wants to talk to you. Went into the shop, because usually you didn't, because there was thousands of people wanting to exchange something. No, went in and it was Fiorucci, and he said, "I am buying," and we became really big friends. And Nally was our girl in Milan. We did cosmetics in Milan, yeah. And then who else? Yes, Cacharel.
Cacharel with the knitwear.
Yes, T-shirt. Mr. Cacharel. He wasn't called Cacharel. He was something else. I used to go absolutely mad because I was going in there to buy. I'm not trying. It wasn't I want this this T-shirt. Oh, I don't think it will sell. I said, we're buying. We're a store. All right.
But it's good. You got them to sort of push their boundaries and you know, think out of the box.
Yeah, and also gave you a dimension of sort of you wouldn't have been doing.
But also bringing in maybe a new consumer, a new market.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes. Because I was waiting for Jackie Kennedy, and I had this one bag for her, a crocodile handbag, and it was from the top of the unit, and we were waiting for her, and she never came.
She never came?
Oh, but Liberace did.
So did he take the bag?
No, he wanted the leopard skin luggage.
Liberace, how funny.
Oh my God.
But
I tell you, it was never a dull moment. And then we opened hairdressers, because this French guy came, and he was all phony anyway. And there was this amazing old hairdressers in the building. We can use it exactly, because it had incredible mirrors and pink mirrors and all that sort of thing. So we opened the hairdressers, where they would come and they would come and get the clothes and style themselves, and then he'd come and do their makeup and hair.
But now you're still doing some stuff. You're still designing now?
Yes, I'm doing something with Brand Lab, which is the first sort of company that's doing viral fashion
I saw
shows.
what's it, augmented reality or something?
Yes. Well, I've done their set for them.
Okay.
For this hula, and they're making
And is this the
sample.
first collection you're doing with them? Is it sort of the first season?
Yeah, but everything got a bit held up, but they're now starting again, and be interesting. I mean,
So how does it work like this? So you design the clothes and then you go online and you...
Yes.
How does this augmented reality
no,
work?
they do have some. Well, at the moment they had a proper human.
Okay.
But then later they will put, the showroom is on...
on the website or something? It's like a digital...
exactly. They bring in companies.
Okay.
But they've got Barber already signed up.
Oh, wow. But you see, like now with COVID, everybody's sort of moving onto an online platform.
Yeah.
And also, you know, because the shows were cancelled, so these digital showrooms are becoming a new thing because
yeah.
it's a way of sending sort of the collection
Yeah.
to the buyers. And
Because this Zoom thing just is a nightmare. You miss it.
yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, and it lasts like for a
So
couple of days.
I think what they're doing is quite nice to create
Incredible,
these
yeah.
digital showrooms.
Yeah.
We need to see now how the buyer reacts to it, because you know, one thing touching
Yeah,
the garment, seeing a garment,
absolutely.
it's different to see
It's
it online.
very
But I think
interesting, isn't it?
it's finding a way of sort
Yeah.
of mixing the two together,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is really
But
interesting.
maybe say like the companies that people already know, their type of thing, like Barbara. Sort of.
Yeah.
Um,
But for new
but
companies,
it's not public. It's for wholesaling to stores, to
Okay.
boutiques and department stores. They've got sort of Nordstrom and sort of people that will buy from them
okay.
that way, which is quite interesting. That I don't know, because they seem to be moving forward, and I can't keep up with it. But,
When's the collection meant to come out?
they're only, I mean, she's already come in with all the samples, but it's all in Wales.
Oh, okay.
So she came in with the first lot of samples, and then they were altered, and now they're doing in the fabrics and
Okay.
something like that. But it's quite
And I know you also do textile designs for
Yes,
different brands.
Graham and Brown.
And I was reading that is it an Australian brand called Flair
oh,
that you did the bell bottoms?
Yes, that's the girl in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep telling her, honestly, if this was alive, you'd think you're the most cleverest person in the world. You're making one pair of trousers.
I know.
Incredible.
I think nowadays it is just focus on one thing, do
One
it well,
thing and just change the
and
fabric.
just sell. I mean,
Jeez.
I remember once asking you. I think it was last year actually, when we were talking about luxury, and I can't remember if it was me or somebody asked you what is the future of luxury, and you said the trainer, the sneaker.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you were like, well, look, everyone, and it's true. We were all wearing
You're trainers. Yeah.
And
That's
now all
incredible.
luxury brands are just doing
Yeah.
trainers. But how do you think this pandemic has sort of changed? How do you think we're
I don't think
what's it gonna be moving forward?
I honestly, you know, something always real happens, and it's like just trying to think some new way of doing fashion, and there's always going to be fashion. Maybe it's not called fashion, clothing.
Yeah.
It's clothes of being used in a funny different way, because it will be another generation. Because I mean, like with Angie, you've got all these little creatures that are sewing,
Yeah.
loving it. But to them, it's like, wow.
Because they're
it's gone.
creating, I guess, aren't they?
Yes.
They're making something
Yes,
physical.
absolutely. And I was just talking to a friend of mine in Poland. She's got a daughter, and I said, buy her sewing machine immediately. Brilliant idea. I'm rushing out right now. She's only little, but she's all into
But I also
fashion.
think with the young generation now, they also going to view vintage in a different way, no?
Yes.
Because, well, you're now different generations, and we see vintage in a different way, you know,
Yeah.
and we appreciate it maybe for the decade or the style or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like now, you know, if you're looking at kids who are 13, by the time they are the right age to buy vintage pieces, what are they
Yeah.
actually going to buy? Because is it going to be T-shirts? Like what? Like the whole concept of vintage is completely
Vintage, it'll be second-hand, won't
Yeah.
it? But I mean...
thrift stores.
I mean, look at the boho thing. Apparently, I was talking to somebody of that day. Oh yes, I mean, we buy it, and then we sell it back to them, and they're remaking things on. It's very
They kind of upholster it again or tweak it a bit and just sell it
and
back.
smelly.
So-
So that you can imagine what people look like. That generation is going to look very scruffy.
Yeah.
It's very straight from films, straight from.
It would be interesting.
Futuristic
It will be
film.
interesting to see how they interpret things.
Yeah.
But I have to say, one good thing I think is happening is this return to craft.
Yes.
And, you know, and back
Yes.
to sort of the makers.
Yeah.
And I mention this as well because I see a lot of rise in illustrations and illustrators.
Yeah,
And,
I
you
love
know,
to hear that.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
love it because it's going back, you know, so much so that in January,
Yes.
Vogue Italia actually did one whole issue without photography, and it was just with illustrators. So they got, I think, 9 or 6 different illustrators.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And so all the photo shoots were actually illustrations, which was really nice.
Fantastic.
you
And
know,
not on computer.
no, old school,
No.
like hand, and then obviously then they printed it, but
Yeah.
you know, they got 9 different illustrators doing. So
Oh, I
like
must see
instead of
that
photo, you know, instead of flying, so it was like the sustainability issue. So instead of flying people out, spending money, carbon footprint, everything was drawn. You know,
Yeah.
so you know the latest, I don't know, Dior campaign, but instead of using a model, they actually drew the photo shoot, which
Really?
was really nice.
Yeah.
And I've got a friend of mine who last year started the first International Fashion Illustration Awards.
Oh,
because
really?
there's never been an award for that.
Yeah.
And this year, you know, in the second year, he's teamed up, Peter Dundas
Yeah.
teamed up with him because
Yeah.
he liked the idea, and now Condé Nast is teamed up with him. So
Oh.
the second one is sponsored by Condé Nast, and
how
and Peter Dundas
interesting.
did a little project, an illustration project. So it's nice to see because, you know, back in the 70s, like Antonio Lopez,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
he was an amazing illustrator. It was all
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
And even Anna Piaggi with her
Yes.
magazines, Vanity, where
Yeah.
she got all these illustrators
Yeah.
to draw. And I like, so I think that's
I'm
going
so
back
happy to hear that.
Yes, you know, it's like less digital
Yeah.
and more sort of
Yeah.
the old school illustration, which is so nice.
Because you couldn't, there was a time where it was all computerized, like they get the photograph and they kind of draw over it,
Yes.
and that nobody knew the craft of drawing,
Exactly.
actually.
And that's why it's nice to be in your studio and actually see all these illustrations that,
Oh,
you know,
drawings,
your drawings that you
Oh,
still
I'm
do.
so happy.
No, it's nice.
Because
I think
one
you know,
had to stop that because it was
don't stop it. I think
incredible.
it's so nice.
Yeah. How interesting. I must try and
And it's
see
nice to
that.
kind of drag the young people off the computer. I think computers are great, you know, to do,
Yeah.
but you still need to know how to draw.
Yeah.
You know, and
Exactly, and not
old
with
school,
that thing.
not
on
with the iPad. I think you
No.
can use the iPad afterwards,
Yeah.
but to be able to draw, it's a nice
Yeah,
art to learn.
Absolutely. You see, people don't realize, because they always ask me about drugs, and I said, I never had to have drugs, because if you try drawing, you get so high, you get terribly happy.
Yeah.
People don't realize that,
No.
even if you're doing a bad drawing. Yeah.
And it's a nice way of expressing things as well.
Yeah.
You know, where you each come
Yeah.
up with your own individual style,
Sort of-
and you work
Oh,
on
I'm
that.
so happy.
Yes.
Where have I been?
You've been drawing. That's where you've been.
I've been drawing and
And I love coming to your place because
Do you?
it's like a
you're very welcome
sort
to
of
look through all the
curiosity
drawers.
cabinet, isn't it? You've got amazing pieces around. I love
Oh my
it.
God. No, that's the best news I've heard, because that gives you freedom.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? You're not tied to this stupid thing or that.
And I think that's one good thing of the pandemic is lots
Yeah.
of people, and I've been, you know, when we were in lockdown, I've been watching people doing the Instagram lives and all stuff like that. And they are going back to making stuff.
Yes.
Crafts. You know, I
Yeah.
had friends in Italy who were sort of started taking up crocheting,
Oh,
like all these
really?
old school things. And it's really good because I think it's also something good for
Yeah.
the mind. It's
Yeah.
sort of, you know, you're moving away
Yes.
from a digital platform
Yeah.
where
It's just
things are doing and
non-stop.
you're actually physically making
Yeah.
stuff. And I think it's nice to learn a skill and a craft.
Yeah.
I mean, I was baking.
What?
I was baking.
No, no, absolutely. No,
So I
it's
think
just-
that's
you
that's
slow
amazing.
down to
And you appreciate things more.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and I think I think we're at a stage where we do need to slow down.
Yeah.
And
But
really-
Fitz always used to say that. Now just calm down, sit there, and let it all sink in, because otherwise it's all flying all over the
Because
place.
now there's this, you know, there's this need to have things immediately, and I believe it's down to all this digital revolution that we went
Yeah.
through. And like we were talking about earlier about Amazon, you know,
Yeah.
you order something now, you can, if you're lucky, you can get it the same day
Yeah.
or it's tomorrow. So even, I think for fashion, it's not fast fashion, it's like faster fashion, because literally
Yeah,
brands need to
addictive.
continue pump out more and more and more.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it was different.
Yeah, it's very addictive too. But it's funny because I've tested this. I mean, just gone down, somebody dropped me off on 5th Street and walked back when there were some shop windows. And I come back high as a kite. I mean, I didn't buy anything, but just by going in and looking and touching, and it was just amazing experience.
No, absolutely.
And they're missing that with all the buying online. How nice to talk to you. We could go on for
I know. And I'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I look forward to inviting you next week to our next episode. So stay tuned, stay safe, and speak soon. Bye.